Well, we haven't done a video in a little while, but I did want to go through choosing your rifle. Now, one of the things that you can do is you choose your rifle, and we'll get into some more of this stuff as we go along. But you got to make a decision how you're going to choose your rifle. And here's some of the low cost options for you. This first one here, I want to point out, this is a 30-30. It's a common 30-30. And a lot of times, new hunters are going to have access to one of these. And everybody goes, why? Well, most people's grandfather, or a lot of people's grandfather or great grandfather, often were hunters. And it's kind of something that's fallen out of their family legacy and their family history. But the gun's still around because nobody knows what to do with it or nobody wants to get rid of it. It's a lever action gun. It's a 30-30. And it's relatively harmless. At least that's how most people think of it. And so they don't ever get rid of it. If you have something like this, this is actually a fine Western hunting rifle. Even a Western hunting rifle, and I'm going to get people who argue with me and things like that. Particularly in this model, this is a 30-30 Marlin. You'll notice that it's called a side eject if you're not familiar with it. It throws the bullet out the side, which is what allows you to put a scope on it. This has a simple 4-power scope put on it. But Cabela's used to make a ballistic adjusting scope specifically for the 30-30 in a 3-9. If you can find one of those, because Cabela's is out of business, they were bought out by Bass Pro Shop. But if you can find one of those, it's a fantastic topper for your 30-30. One of the great things with the 30-30 is that oftentimes you'll be able to find it free at your house. Your grandfather had it, your great-grandfather had it. Free is always your best cost option. And the truth is, with modern ammo, we call it Lever Evolution. It's made by Hornady. It's a 160 grain bullet. This is a legitimate 300-yard elk rifle in this setup. And you're going to hear people, you need to be able to shoot farther than that out west. I have lived out west almost my entire life. I have hunted moose in Alaska, caribou in Alaska, elk and mule deer in Arizona. I've hunted elk in Wyoming, elk in New Mexico. And I got to tell you, I've shot one animal past 300 yards intentionally as the first shot in that entire time. That's 40 years of hunting. So if somebody is telling you that you have to have range beyond 300 yards, mostly what they're telling you is they're incapable of stalking an animal and getting close to it. They're not actually commenting on the difficulty of being able to hunt it. So if you can find a rifle like this, if your family already has one that nobody else is using, if grandpa has one he's willing to give up for you, or it's just around, this is a great setup, especially as a beginner rifle. They're fairly easy to use. The one thing I do recommend is change the butt pad. You'll feel it with this one. You're going to feel the recoil. So I would change the butt pad, find the Lever Evolution ammo from Hornady, and take it hunting. It's no problem whatsoever. That's the cheapest option. The next option is here, and I'm going to call this one, and it's not really, in the case of this rifle, it's not exactly true, but this is going to represent that for us. The next option up is a used rifle. You go into the gun store and they have a Model 700, they have an old Winchester's Model 70, they have a whatever, and it'll often be in 30-06, 7mm Rem mag, 300 Win mag, whatever, it doesn't really matter. They often have a scope on them already. You'll find a lot of these. This is a Leopold scope. The bottom end Leopold scopes, one of the great things about them is they are tough as nails. So you find a rifle like this, they're often much cheaper than buying a new rifle, and they'll usually still shoot. It's not going to have the newest whiz-bang, fancy, whatever caliber that a lot of the modern rifles have, but it'll work, and it's going to be relatively inexpensive. This one here, As I said, this is not a used gun buy. This is a gun that I have owned. I mentioned having hunted out west for 40 years, and this is it. 40-some caribou and moose and bears and deer and elk later. This is it. It's nothing special other than it's mine, and I've had it for a long, long, long time. It's in 30-06, which if you can get is a great caliber. Is there stuff better on the market today? Yeah, probably. Will they do anything that the 30-06 won't do? No, they will not. And that's the whole point of it. I prefer it like this. This was originally a rings and sight rifle, so it had a iron sight on it like these do here. Personally, I dislike iron sights on the gun. A modern scope, like I mentioned, with this Leopold is so tough that they just don't lose zero much. And so you just keep it on there and keep using it. What I found when I was hunting brush country in Alaska is the sights would hook on stuff, and when you're dealing with grizzly bears and things that can eat you, you want to be able to get your rifle in action quickly, and it was causing a problem. Again, a problem here. This recoil pad is not really much of a recoil pad. Mostly it's just a lot of recoil and a recoil transfer. It's actually not a great design for that. And so I would recommend replacing it. I have not, and the reason is quite simple. I'm lazy. And it costs extra money. There's actually another reason. These are tough. They don't reduce recoil very well. And but when I use it to help myself stand up, when I lean it on the ground, it hasn't worn out in over 40 years of use, and you can see that here. So the final option is a new rifle, and you see this one here. This one, you're going to find this actually belongs to my son. This is his new rifle. He's going to be using it for our program at times. You'll eventually get to meet him here. You can see it's such a new rifle. It still has the sticky from the sticker that used to be on the barrel. It has something here that a lot of the older rifles don't have, and that's a threaded barrel with a protector on it. This is a great thing. I never, ever recommend brakes for reducing recoil because they are so loud. A lot of guides won't allow them. They can cause instant deafness and things of that nature. But if you can put a suppressor on one of these, it's fantastic. The other thing you'll notice that he did is this is probably your most expensive option, but it's probably also the best shooting of the three options that I have just shown you. It has the best recoil pad on it. It has the best stock design. Has a little bit of color on it. It is the most accurate of the rifles here. And again, this scope, one of the things he bought it used. It's a great scope. It's a great setup. It's the rebirth Redfields, which no longer exist, but it's a Leopold that's got a red sticker on it instead of the gold ring. Fantastic. It'll outshoot this rifle. It's in 308. And it's a great setup. There's very little gap between the 30-06 and the 308. Performance-wise or anything. Most of the gap in their accuracy that you will hear some people talk about is the fact that the chamber tolerances for a 30-06 are greater than the chamber tolerances for a 308. If you buy them both with the same chamber tolerance, they both shoot to about the same point. Now, there is a couple of things that you need to decide. Like I said, this is a 30-06, this is a 30-06, this is a 308, and this is a 30-30. You'll notice that every one of them is a 30 caliber. I'm not going to tell you that the 30 caliber is the best all-around caliber that you can get your hands on. I'm not going to suggest to you that that's what you get. But you do need to decide where will you be hunting and what will you be hunting. I've mentioned this before, but it's going to affect what you are legally allowed to use for hunting big game. So there are 5 or 6 states and 2 provinces that 24 caliber is your minimum for buying a rifle or for hunting big game. If you are hunting in one of those states, that's what you need to figure is your minimum. There's also, as you get into elk size animals, there are 2 states that have a 25 caliber minimum. It's North Dakota and Nebraska. So if you're planning to be hunting elk sized game in either of those states, you really need to plan on having 25 caliber, say a 25-06 or a 25 Creedmoor, 257 Roberts, a 257 Weatherby, anything like that as your minimum caliber. Then you get over to the state of Pennsylvania. The state of Pennsylvania actually has a really nice size and growing and good hunting opportunities for elk, but they have a 6.5 caliber minimum. When I lived in Pennsylvania, it was a 27 caliber minimum. They lowered it to 6.5. So you're going to be looking at your 6.5 Creedmoor, your 6.5 55, 260 Remington, as your minimum bottom end, and then it can go up from there to any number of calibers. Finally, there's Kentucky, and Kentucky does have a few elk in it. They have a 27 caliber minimum, and so you have to plan for that. If any of these are on your hunting destinations, that needs to be your minimum caliber. If any of these are your desired hunting designation or destinations, that needs to be your minimum caliber. It needs to be related. The final one that most people don't realize is in the state of Alaska, there are wild bison hunts. Some of you call them buffalo. Some people will get all worked up that they're 2 different animals. Buffalo is actually a misnomer for all the North American buffalo that have ever lived here. It's actually a bison. It's more closely related to the cattle. In the state of Alaska, 175 grain bullet with 2,800 foot-pounds of energy is the minimum legal standard. This gun will not meet that, but this one will. The other next caliber that is minimum that will meet that is also a 7mm Rem mag. Growing up in Alaska, it was actually a 200 grain bullet with 3,000 foot-pounds of energy. And Norma used to make a load specifically for this in their 200 grain Oryx that would meet that. So for 50 years, the 30-06 has been the minimum legal caliber for hunting bison in the state of Alaska. If you ever wonder what it is, that's it. Again, is all of that necessary? No, unless those are on your list of things to hunt, in which case it should be. So you need to take that into consideration as you select your rifle. This is going to affect, to a degree, using Grandpa's gun. Grandpa's gun is a 30-30. It will actually meet the standard for every state that allows bottleneck cartridges. This is important. I'm not going to do anything on straight walls because I have no reason to hunt them, and out west they just lack the range to do what I want them to do. This will meet any standard. So will this, other than Alaska. Alaska has that standard for bison. And we can talk about some other stuff when we get there, and we will, but these are your 3 options, and you need to decide, do I need a new gun? Will a used one work? Will I feel let down by a used one? Or can I just use Grandpa's old gun? And make that choice. I always recommend optics on them. You'll see that every one of our rifles has it. Actually, this one is not mine, so will not be used on our channel at all. You will probably see both of these on the channel at some point or another. And this is our sample gun, and we're going to talk about what I mean by that later in another video.